So here at the Socially Used Studio, after every shoot, we sit around in the control room and we talk about what went good, what went bad, and what we could do better in the future. And we realize that we should probably record these things so we can actually remember what we said. And then we realize that this could possibly be good content for the people who view our channel. So come along with us as we learn, grow, and fail, and maybe you can learn something as we learn too. Welcome to the Debrief. All right, welcome back to the Debrief. I am going to bring this in this time because Emma is currently on a call, but we just got done filming with one of our favorite clients, Isik Abla. This was a completely I feel like we're going to say this a few times, so this is a completely different set than we've ever done, which caused some problems, but also looked amazing. And we're going to discuss what happened. Morgan or Andre or...
Yeah, so maybe we can cut over to the... Well, wait. Before we do that, we have some special guests with us
We
today,
do have special guests.
right? So we have Chris Skinner. Chris is our makeup and occasionally hair.
Wardrobe.
Amazing wardrobe and general fixer-upper of just about anything else. So she's nervous about being on this amazing show. So,
Thank you for having me.
yeah, you're so welcome. So,
And then the building janitor.
and then we got this
Just kidding.
this guy off the street down here. So this is Eric. Eric Westmus is our audio engineer, and we're really excited to have him in person. Normally he's remote producing audio in Nashville. So Eric, we're super excited to have you joining us as well. So we had to set up a few extra cameras and some different microphones just to kind of get this going. But
Eric had to bring his own microphone.
I know.
A karaoke mic?
Yes, perfect. That's great. You'll sing us out at the end. Okay, so with that said, maybe what we can do is go over to the Apple TV and I can just show, this is from my phone earlier, just to kind of quickly show what this set looked like. So the idea was our client, her name is Isik, wanted to look like she's standing on a stage, speaking in front of a crowd. This is a ultimately a little less than 6 camera shoot, but all 6 cameras were deployed, but we ended up not using a few of those, all keyed in real time. However, what makes this one different, as you can see, is there's some tracked moving shots that are happening inside this. We'll show some better quality of this, but I just figured I'd pull this up to show the green. So that's the actual set that we had built out there. So it's a custom lectern that we had made, and it's a 48-inch OLED that's in the middle of that. So that's the general setup. So we're still working a whole lot so that we can just barely have any set done. But this one was unique because we're finally starting to get... We've been using camera tracking a lot as far as camera placement, but we haven't been doing a lot of moving shots that were manned cameras. So Jay and Tyler, you both were actually operating a camera all day today, moving as she paced around a lot. So that's definitely a very different experience. We had some Unreal problems, so hey, let's get into it. Where do we want to start with all of this awesomeness? Who's going first?
I will make an observation about tracking. It seemed like the cameras, the tracking worked better when I was doing kind of a quicker movements. If I tried to do slower movements, it would seem a little jittery, but if I was kind of moving fast, it seemed to kind of flow better.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a feature or...
I agree. The tracking system, there we go. The tracking system definitely prefers bigger movements compared to smaller ones, and we're seeing that a lot with our sliders. So the slower our slider goes, the more jumpy it seems to be. And I think it's just the nature of the type of tracking we're using, which is more kind of LiDAR based with the infrared and the base stations from Vibe Mars. So I think it's just a process of figuring out what's the line there.
Yep.
As they work on their algorithm.
Yeah, and as far as tracking goes today, too, we set up 2 of the rhinos that you mentioned there, but ended up not using them because she was like, this is the first time we've done a virtual set. Well, I'm sort of lying, but this is next level than what we did beforehand. But this is the first time we've done it where somebody was up, walking around, and was on a stage. And so the rhinos were pretty much useless. But as I noticed, as they were going really slow at the beginning of the day, I saw them having pretty huge jitters again. But I felt like tracking from my side was good. I had, and this is super in the weeds here, but I had camera 5, which it doesn't have its individual program mapped back to it. So yeah, here you go.
Just
You can
playing a
see.
walkthrough.
Yeah, yeah.
While
So
we're
this is Tyler's little
Yeah, that's
area
where I was sitting.
with his little bowl of snacks there, and he had a focus wheel on his camera. So he would track her from that left side. And then I was sitting over there with that lectern and that stool there, where I was also doing some editing and stuff. And that was camera and tracker number 5. I was running there with my cool tape attachment there on the end of it. But for me, it was a bit different too, because typically in here, I'm doing everything where I sit right now. But today, since we needed tracking, I jumped in there and did some tracking and called and transferred and did a little bit of editing while I was in there. And that was kind of a whirlwind. Oh, look, there I am magically now. I can get a haircut.
Whoa,
Whoa.
Well,
that is
dude.
meta.
And yep, there's Tyler on
Yeah,
Tyler, he's on
Hilarious.
Instagram.
on Instagram.
Oh yeah, this has been a cool addition. So what we've been doing for a lot of people when they come in, I'm getting way off track here, but you've been taking portraits for people, and people love it, like really love it. So I've been it's been awesome to hear how excited people are. Like I saw you getting pictures of Isik and her daughter at the
Yeah.
same time, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, we never get these." It's like
Yeah.
cha-ching at
Yep.
value.
Yep.
Thought that was
Totally.
really cool.
My camera, the depth of field was set so that I could just pan back and forth. I didn't have to worry about focus. I don't know. Was your camera like that too, Jay?
Nope. Or I didn't have any. I didn't worry about focus. I didn't even
Yeah,
have a
that's what I
focus
mean.
wheel. Like
Yeah, I should have.
so.
Yeah, we've got the focus wheel, and it works really, really well. We have done some tracking on a different shoot, but it was more limited. It wasn't anything like this. It was where a guy was moving around, but it was a lot less than this. Every single video on this shot, she was walking back and forth continuously, and it was better this time than it was that previous time we tried it.
Yeah, we didn't really expect her to move this much.
Oh, really?
Well, I didn't. I mean, when I looked at some of her other footage of her speaking, she's pretty anchored at that lectern and then moving some. But this one, she barely touches the lectern, and she's really just kind of, that's just her center point as she's been kind of moving around back and forth. So, yeah, so that was the kind of last minute decision of bringing Jay in to also camera op. That way we had 2 angles. He preferred Jay's angle. He liked it because it was a wider shot. In fact, Jay, if you want, while we're talking about this, if you'll play the...
Yeah, you
can actually
rarely
show the
cut to
final.
my shot. Mine was kind of from like rib cage up, upper torso, and Jay's was kind of more from, I guess, like hips up.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah, they really wanted a wider shot, but I actually
was
thought your
nice.
shot was prettier. So
Did look nice.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, great.
Yeah, that's
So
Jay's shot there, I guess.
that looks great. We don't need audio.
Yeah, I was just gonna cut it here.
So so yeah, Jay, go ahead and just maybe full screen that
Okay.
here.
Yep. Here we go.
Playing a little rough. And go ahead and pause for a second because it'll kind of bring it in a little more. I guess it's kind of struggling. But yeah, so that's the shot. So that's one of the man shots, and yeah, go ahead and play it. I guess it's so choppy. There's the OLED playing the just like we used a keynote, just put a background on it that would just rotate and play. And of course, it doesn't really play this choppy, but it's just playing back a little rough on this. We're airplaying to an Apple TV right now. Man, that's rough. Okay, well, so there's enough of that.
Your brain breaks more than anybody. Whenever
I'm
you're
like,
trying,
well,
other people are
I
like,
hate Apple now.
sucks, but let's watch it. And you're just like, "Ugh."
I can't think while it's not working. Okay, so Morgan, let's talk about the terrible.
Yeah. We talk about this. How
Let's talk.
Unreal decided to just start to die. Part of the thing was the client came in, they had a lot of input when it came to so in this set there are giant screens that can have different content on them. And so we were trying to have a bunch of different looks for that, and I think that really freaked out Unreal and caused a lot of issues. We think it's because of a file copy problem, because we're scaling across 6 machines. So it just couldn't copy the file fast enough before the other Unreal computers were trying to hit play.
Yep.
on that video file. So I think that's what was causing it. But it caused a whole bunch of like breakdown and messed up a ton of stuff. So
Yeah, so it seemed like so one of the things that Morgan, one of the things you've done is you've really set it up so that as we make a change inside Unreal, we have 6. So just kind of to outline this, we have 6 computers, 1 computer per camera, all chained together. And so you've got it set up where as we make a change on the master Unreal computer, then all the Unreal computers get that change, right? So now what we're trying to do, Emma's here. So so now what we're trying to do is make it, which is good. Like we want to be able to change it on one, have it replicate on all of them. We were doing a lot of work with images. As we started moving into video, though, the theory, our working theory is it's that video file is a gig or whatever it is. And it was just long enough that it was telling Unreal the file is there and use this new video file. And then Unreal goes and looks and it's like, I don't see a video there. And then it was like, I'm out. So I think that's what our theory is, right, on this, is that we think that's kind of what was happening there. So is that kind of an accurate way of describing it, or?
yeah, I think that's and that's been kind of the feedback that I've gotten from the Unreal Facebook group is like, hey, if it doesn't see that file, it's not going to work. It's also Unreal when you give it an image file or a texture file, as they call it, it's actually embedding that within the project, where video files are stored separately. So it's very important that it's in the same spot on all the machines. It doesn't automatically copy it into the project folder, which we were copying it into the folder. So that wasn't the issue. The issue appears to be the copying of the file. We're also still having issues with switchboard, which is what we're using to connect all the computers together so they work together. 2 of the computers would join and then leave randomly, but it wasn't reporting any sort of network drop or any sort of error. Unreal wasn't crashing, so it's unclear of what that issue was. It could be a 5.1 problem as well, which is the latest engine of Unreal that we're running right now.
So Morgan, you had to stay late. Thanks for staying late. And so how do we feel like, how did we fix this? What did we end up doing to get this all working?
I ended up manually having to relink basically all the files on each of the machines separately. So I took them off of the server that's supposed to do the magic trick of keeping it all in sync, and just manually went into each of them and reset the file and made sure all of them had the file, which they already did, and then reboot all of the machines to get them up and running. Not the best way to do it, but it was the only option that we really had besides totally restarting the project, which we didn't want to do, because we've done a lot of custom blueprint work on this for camera control and tracking. And this project was using DMX. So I had a virtual lighting console running to control some of the lighting within the scene. Since it is a stage, they have all the spotlights and things like that. So it definitely wasn't an option to reset. And then we ended up, you had a conversation with the client in the morning about, hey, we kind of have to lock this into the design that we have, which really helped.
Yeah, so that was interesting because they had seen the power of Unreal the day before. They came in the day before, which was awesome. So they came in the day before, we're finishing up the set. They're able to sit down and look at it and be like, oh, I thought it would be, a different color or whatever. So we were able to work through a lot of those things, which was great. But the downside of that was they realized, oh, I can just tell you to play a new video as the background and it'll play that now. And so that became it's pretty addictive to be like, well, let me see what it looks like purple. How about green? And so they started going down that path, which was fine. And we were great to do it because we've been so busy doing all these back-to-back shoots that we haven't had a chance to really spend a lot of time in this set. And so it was like, that's great. We'll get them what they want. Well, then this morning when they came in, they also wanted more. Like, oh, can I change this? Can I change this? I'm like, I got to stop you right there. Last night, this all just, broke and barely worked. We were up pretty late working on this, trying to get it good. So really, no real changes. We did change some lighting
Right.
colors.
And that seemed to not be super problematic.
That seemed to go pretty fast.
Yeah, and then you and I were talking about having a way to input video like NDI or through the deck link card so that it's not a video file at all, that it's just straight a video source.
Right.
That might help.
Yeah, I think so, because continuously we keep getting these requests of like, can I put this on the screen? Can I put this over there? And it's these Unreal projects. This one we purchased from StockEds. It's just not set up for that kind of immediacy of workflow. And so
unlike the Podium, using the Podium as an example.
Totally, yeah. So with the Podium, I was able to just go in because it's Keynote running. I can open Keynote, put any different background, put any different graphic, hit play, and we're done. So similarly, if I could have that sort of feed that could feed into the Unreal set, that would really save a lot of hassle, because then we could just have computers that we could control.
Excuse my ignorance, but is that like a feasible thing, Morgan, to have like a video source? Because it sounds like would be like an even better option. It's getting away from file management and being able to do all of that native on the computer that's sending the source.
Right. The main issue with it, what I was seeing was performance hit.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not only are we outputting something out of the computer, we're also inputting a 4K signal at the same time, and we're just running out of bandwidth on the computer. They don't make them fast enough currently. Yeah, as fast as we can get.
And as soon as they do, we're probably going to buy them.
Yeah. I don't even know if a 4090 would even help in this case, because it's more of a PCI Express bandwidth issue. So yeah.
Let's change gears completely. We have the wonderful Chris Skinner with us, and Emma is joining us now too. Chris, talk to us about makeup. Like, we don't get a chance to usually have you in here, so tell us kind of like, how do you, I don't know, how did it go today? Let's start there. Like, how was today? And
it was great. This is my first time working with Ishka, and she came in really prepared with lots of wardrobe changes, and that's really helpful. And bedazzled belts and just a lot of fun. And she came pretty camera ready. She has great hair, and I just really enhanced her own beauty and tried to, she likes lashes, and we did the glam thing, but try to keep it subtle. And I think she was really happy.
Yeah.
She's just a pro.
Yeah, I think she looked really great. So I think you did a really good job on her makeup, and I felt like it felt done, but also very natural, and it didn't feel like it was caking on too much or anything like that. So that felt good.
There's like the technical part of makeup, right? It's like looking good on camera, but also one thing that Chris adds is a whole nother part of an experience of getting makeup done. Like, a lot of people who come here haven't had that done, and I think Ishik has, but I could tell that, and she loves it here, right? She always tells us how much she loves it here, but I think that was a really nice added piece for her, because she got to have her makeup done, and I that it's that way for a lot of clients, but I was excited for you to finally meet, because that's a big part of the way she goes about her material is how she looks. And so for finally being able to have you here at the same time she was, I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
And you guys bonded about tennis. I thought that was cool.
Yeah. Always find something.
Well, we kind of joke, like, it's also like, it's like makeup and hair and all of that. It's also therapy. Like, there's like, we'll come in during a break and you all seem to know all the good details, and you're like, oh yeah, we're working through that, and whatever. So it's a fun
part of my job.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's really awesome. Well, Emma, what was your world like? Oh, you get your own mic.
This is what happens when you have an amazing engineer in
showing off. Well, how was your day?
My day was good. I realized we didn't have enough hangers, because she easily went through like probably 15 outfit changes. She was working the outfit changes. So I went and grabbed some hangers, and that was this morning. But other than that, she was a joy to work with.
Yeah.
Did you have to steam all those outfits?
Oh, I steamed all the outfits. She brought like a huge suitcase with so much clothing, so I didn't know what exactly to sort through. So we went through it this morning, steamed like 15 outfits for her, and she looked like a pro out there. And No wrinkles.
Tell us about the snack situation today. Let's
Our girl Ishik, she is keto. She looks amazing. She is on the keto diet. So we are used to a lot of sugar around here. And we had to switch all that out for some keto snacks. It looked a little sad than what we're used to, but we could use the health around here.
Yes.
So we got a bunch of keto snacks for her. We had a salad bar, very low carb, friendly.
those chips that were buffalo.
Oh, we got the
Fire.
buffalo.
Those were great.
we got
Made out of chicken
Made out of
or
actual
something.
It was-
Yeah.
meat chips.
chicken, egg whites, and like
Bone broth.
bone broth.
Yeah.
It was,
Those are great.
Her health kick over
Yeah,
here.
come on.
except for
It's
you
really
caught me.
inspired us.
You caught me. Emma goes into into that area, and I was like, "Oh, I know where the good stuff is." So I'm like on my knees, like rolling around. My dog
I
there
see
caught me.
his eyes peeking over
You're
the
like, what?
counter.
Nothing.
I'm like,
nothing.
I
I'm
know
just-
exactly who's under that counter.
The non-keto snacks.
Yeah, so some of those snacks I do think we'll keep around.
Yeah,
'Cause they were actually really good, and I think having some healthier options
Yep.
is nice to have.
The
so
dried
she's-
apple slices.
Oh yeah, those were good
Yeah.
too.
They don't look appealing when you just see
Yeah,
the
they-
dried apple, but
Man, they
those are
taste
big-
good. They
those
taste
are a
like
big
fresh
win.
apples.
Yeah, they were great.
So we're on our health kick around here, and
Salad bar.
it won't last long,
Yeah.
but sometimes we need it. So she's
Yes.
inspired us.
Salad bar is good. I think the salad bar is a great option.
Especially with all that bacon.
I was getting ready to say something. I looked at Andre and I was like, "Ask and you shall receive."
Uh-huh.
We came out of the studio when it was time to break for lunch, and it was like, what is this wondrous smell? And it was the bacon,
It's
Yeah.
bacon.
fresh microwaved.
Yeah. So overall, a very good day for me, and we had our highs and we had our lows, but overall it was great.
That's great. And so she brought in her team. One of the people on her team, Abdallah, was really awesome at technical directing. So he actually took over switching. I don't know if y'all knew that was what was happening, but so
that was for pacing, right? Primarily,
Mhm.
just getting the pace of the cuts, right? Because he was kind of watching and he had a vision, and then he also wanted to end and start on a very specific camera.
Yeah.
And he really knew her cadence when it came to that. So that was really helpful.
Yeah, so I think that really freed up, and it's like, yeah, they got exactly what they wanted. He's very technically capable, so he was able to handle those shots fine. In that way, they know they're getting exactly what they want. So that felt really nice. That was a surprise. I don't think we were planning on him doing that, but that was a really great win. Talk to us about audio, Eric. Let's get you in here. So,
Of course, he'll need a microphone.
oh, let's hand the microphone back over to you.
Poor Chris for a second, but we had to dig that mic out and it started to break up. So that's why I gave Emma this one.
So normally we do a lot of work with Boom, right? And so most of the time our clients are really fairly static, and so this time though she's moving around a lot, so we're using lapel. So tell us, how did it go? And
Yeah. So short of, I think the most interesting maybe bit about the audio would be the sound design bit, if you will. Because I mean, I guess before I get into that, Ishik's very dynamic, so I'm making sure I have plenty of headroom, and then trying to be as consistent as possible, shot to shot, because she's got a lot of costume changes insofar as where I'm placing the lapel. But short of just the standard, what you would think, get a sound, have plenty of headroom, compress so it's not dynamically all over the place. The most interesting part with this shoot was adding the option of a convolution reverb that imitates a convention hall space, so that it, when you're watching, makes sense in context with what we've got going on Unreal, as far as the Unreal Engine goes, which I know.
Which is like the first time we've ever kind of done that, right?
Yes. Our system designer, Dylan, does have in place like a parallel effect that adds a little bit of like a 3D motion. He calls it like bokeh audio. I think I'm getting that right. Dylan, correct me if I'm wrong. But that's always been subtly blended. It's almost like a subliminal thing. It's not front and center, like, oh, I'm in this different environment. So as an experiment, we decided to mult the input and record on one of our hyperdecks a stereo return of just the processed convolution convention hall sound, and then leave the client the option of blending that to taste. So we got it to kind of where we thought it made sense in a sample edit, and then gave them the headphones, and they wanted a little bit more of it. Everyone felt pretty good, and so it was cool to be able to add that value and then have it make sense in context, because it, at least in the first probably minute of watching something like that, the average person probably wouldn't know that there was, something askew, but
Right.
but when the visual doesn't match the audio, I mean, you get used to anything pretty much, but it's cool to be able to have that. So,
And talk briefly about our solution, because we're like, oh man, I hope we got this right. We want to give us some margin of error in case we listen to this with fresh ears later and go, what terrible idea did we just do trying to do it that way? So how did you handle that? What are we doing to protect ourselves there?
yeah, so basically we did a parallel process that wasn't hitting the final program output, which would be the typical deliverable, which is going to be just whatever microphones are in play with that bokeh audio effect subtly blended. That's the typical deliverable on 99% of our shoots. I mean, really, until this one. Maybe I'm adjusting the amount of that effect, the bokeh that is. In this case, we're like, let's get a little bit bold. If they don't like it, we don't want it baked into the final program material. So I went ahead, worked out with Morgan that we were just going to take a direct out of, like, I duplicated the channel essentially with all the processing, EQ, everything on it, and then processed that with the verb and sent that to its own hyperdeck recorder. And so we had that coming on over to Final Cut on a separate stereo track. So it just gave us control and then the ability to dial it way back or turn it off if it was too jarring or weird for the client.
Jay, can you talk about the editing? Like,
Yeah.
is that really hard to do to
Nope.
tie that together?
Extremely easy. So it all synchronized properly because it was all of the hyperdecks were being hit at the exact same time. So all I had to do was we attached it to another video file. So I just drug the other video file on underneath, which was already synchronized, and I just attached the audio from the video and deleted the video. And then the audio, the effect was perfectly in sync with the clip. And then I pulled it down to -5 dB because what you were saying, we had that flexibility of being like, oh, it might be too much, or it might be too little. So I spent like probably 2 minutes dialing it in, and then we all listened to it like twice. And we decided that it sounded awesome, and it did, because at first I was like, this looks really cool. This is such a cool set. Once you add on the audio effect, I could not listen to it without the effect after, and because it just did not hit the same.
And I mean, to that end, I find it encouraging when within the first couple seconds of popping on the headphones,
Yeah.
one likes it. Once you get into territory of, is this good? Is it not? I've been listening for several minutes. It's probably a sign that it's time to try something else. And I did throw some other things against the wall last night, and none of them were working to try to imitate the PA stuff.
I think what was cool too is like sound waves aren't all uniform, right? So they're all like they're not all the same. So different words and different noise levels are affected by say a big room in different ways. So like she would say different things, and she would hit like a low note and it wouldn't echo as much. But whenever she got into those high notes, which she hits often, you could hear that echo like really well, but not too much. It sounded just right. And so that was really cool to like, because at some point you're like, I don't hear it. Is it there? Oh, it's definitely there. Now,
That's actually, that's a good, that reminds me about about how the effect wasn't hitting any of our dialogue bus compression. So that's helping accentuate when she gets really loud.
Gotcha.
You're bringing out more of that effect. So
what you guys are seeing on the screen here is, I'm sorry, there were people waving and pointing going on.
Like, hey, look, I'm putting it on the screen for us.
So what you're seeing is so underneath that is, so you see the clip with the audio on top, and then underneath, that is the synchronized clip underneath that just had the effect on him. Is that correct, Eric?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, and then if you, Morgan, if you'll, or whoever's on it,
Mhm.
you click on it, just click on that. And then if you look up in the top right, you can see the volume. And I just took it down -5 dB, so that it,
So I think that was a great solution, and that way we could just totally ditch it and do a completely different effect if we needed to.
I know I'm adding editing, but I think this is important. So what I'm going to do right here, I'm going to cut it,
Uh-huh.
and I'm going to play a small clip, and I'm going to do 2 different examples. First, I'll do one without the audio effect for like 4 or 5 seconds, and then I'll do one with the audio effect for 4 or 5.
Great.
And then that way you guys can hear, and
And it won't be all jerky like whatever.
Yeah, it won't be
that
terrible.
terribleness is that's happening.
No, we'll put the real thing up there. That won't be a problem at all.
This is the next season in my life. I am going to arrive to my destination. Maybe I have been making very little progress in the past. This is the next season in my life. I am going to arrive to my destination. Maybe I have been making very little progress in the past.
Are you guys trying out crowd noise too?
We're looking into
I thought I heard
Do a little
sound
sound design.
We've been
Yeah.
playing some, but we didn't land on it.
find anything
Uh-huh.
that was. It'd have to be super subtle. Though.
Yeah, it's like I just need people coughing
But
and
that's
rustling
Hey, in
paper.
Jay and I could have done that.
Yeah.
in the comments if anyone knows of an awesome
Yeah.
sound library, especially if it's like very randomized and has long stretches of audio.
Ambient.
I haven't reached into it in a long time, but I have an entire Reason catalog. I haven't said the
Worth
word
listening
Reason
to.
in
We could
forever.
see.
Yeah.
We could see if there is a reason to use Reason.
One other last kind of funny thing. So the Ultimate's totally amazing at keying. We're big fans. However, it lacks this one functionality, which is called a flying key, which makes it where I can make the person smaller or bigger. So in this little set example right here, this is so we wanted to kind of show a bigger screen, like more of the room. So what we did, actually, I'm not really sure. Morgan kind of took over on the magic trick, but we essentially flew in. We did a flying key. We brought it into the ATEM. We have an ATEM Constellation 8K. Used one of the upstream keys, brought that in, and then we put a background behind it, and then that way we could kind of key it. So we keyed it through the Constellation instead of through the Ultimates, because all of our Ultimates are tied to a camera right now. But it's far off shot. They're not going to stay on it long, and it was just enough to kind of just sell like there's the room, and now we're right back into a close up. But I thought that was a fun little addition that we did, and we didn't get to that till midday. But it was like a shot that wasn't required, just added a little more to the
And
experience.
You're using that really high. I don't know if you can show that, but there's one of the cameras is way high up on the right.
Oh, sure, yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Is that where you're getting? No,
No.
you're using the wide shot.
No, we're just using the wide shot.
Oh,
I
okay.
just shrunk it down.
I'll take
Okay.
it. I can find it.
The other thing that's cool while Jay's doing that is, first of all, it's did you see that? Did you see that terrible Jay's desktop? We're working on that.
Nothing to see.
On that directory structure there.
There you go. You
All
can
right, yeah, there you go. So
Oh, yeah,
there's that shot right there. Yeah, that one was fun too.
all right, cut away so they can't see my horrible.
You're like, don't look at the desktop ever. So yeah, so I don't know what else do we want to say about all of this. Maybe it's getting kind of a long video. So overall, the illusion was successful. We pulled it off today. We'll be filming again tomorrow.
Yep.
Anything we need to change for tomorrow? I did consider us flipping lenses for Jay and Tyler, because one of those lenses is a native micro four thirds lens. The other one is a Sigma glass that has a lot of focus breathing, which may be throwing off some tracking. So I did consider maybe we need to switch those two lenses and change the profiles
I was
out.
going through a speed.
Maybe he would use my shot more.
Yeah, then maybe he would. Yeah, so that's hilarious. He seemed to use that camera 6, the overhead shot, the least. So that one wasn't really taken very much. So. Okay, what else? Anything else that we've learned from? What else we
It was
got?
hard to not be able to respond. Like I had IFB and Jay and I were both in there, and usually he'll be in here calling, action and cut
Right,
and all that.
right.
So it was kind of awkward having to say, "Are you guys ready? Yeah, we're ready in here. Are you guys?"
Uh-huh.
You know, that
Yeah,
kind
so
of
maybe we
thing.
just need to
Being able-
set you guys up with Unity then tomorrow.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, on your phone.
Although after we got going, we didn't really use IFB all that much. So
Yeah.
I don't know if it's
Yeah. Maybe nice to have, though. Last thing I wanted to say is we're filming this at the end of the day. She left around 4-ish. And if you cut to the computer again, just looking at that, it looks like we made 38 videos. They're short. They're not super long. They're 2-3 minutes
one take.
in length. Almost all one take, no teleprompter.
Yay!
She had her iPad and she knew what she wanted to talk about and she was ready to go. But yeah, the studio rewards preparedness. So
100%.
she was super prepared. She knew exactly what she wanted to say. She was able to get up there and she just hit it and nailed it over and over. I think there was maybe twice that we had to like restart.
And it was because of us. Or
One time it was her, but yeah, maybe one or two times.
Yeah, that was fun.
So yeah.
Yeah, what was that? Something happened where you guys were hearing us real quick.
Oh yeah,
Gotta wrap it up.
So Morgan has a so we love Elgato stuff
Mhm.
and we have all the stream decks and Morgan has a foot pedal below where he sits. So and Abdallah was using that to speak to us and we think that it got stuck. So as we were this is a weird state of panic that I don't normally go into, but as we were recording in there, we were hearing you guys over the speaker, and I was like, okay, do I stop? What do I do? Okay, I'm texting them. Oh, we can hear you guys or whatever. And then I guess that was how.
Well, and Eric, it's fun to watch Eric in the space because normally we don't, we have like a Zoom connection where we see him, but it was funny to watch him in pure panic of like, I am hearing two things right now. What is happening? What's going on? So,
that's amazing.
yeah. Yeah. But that was so the foot pedal stuck. He pushed the foot
Yeah.
to talk, which is a cool thing to do to be able to push the foot pedal and talk. I will say that the foot pedal needs finesse. Like it seems like we've had a few different people using it. And if you're not very comfortable with exactly where that button presses, sometimes that can mess up a little. But overall, it's a cool tool to be able to just push the foot. And,
I think we haven't talked about this, or maybe we did on one of them, but I think we want to, this is way off topic, but I think we want to look into getting another one in the future to possibly have talent be able to click through their slides without having anything in their hand.
Yeah.
So we do want to look into that.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Maybe control teleprompter,
Yeah. Yeah.
depending on their skill level.
Do we have a shot that just shows all of us, Morgan? But I mean, like the multi-view is that the little super source with little extra.
Don't know what's gonna happen.
Oh yeah, let's nerd it out.
Oh,
That's real close. Got real close. It's a lot of Morgan.
Uh-huh.
He's like, dang it, live.
That's what,
Wow.
what's right.
Worked great.
No Tyler or Jay.
Yeah.
Morgan on the spot.
He's like, oh.
Oh.
So we obviously added some extra. We're using Fuji cameras, by the way, shooting all this behind the scenes.
I'm gonna bleep out food.
So,
He says it.
Got everybody but Tyler. He doesn't.
The Brady.
Oh, he made it.
There we go.
he is. Look at that. There we all are.
Hey.
That's the way it became the Brady Bunch.
A to
Look
Z.
at this. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, A to Z, for these amazing macros. They're super cool. So this is the newest one. All right. Anything else?
There's one thing I'd like to
Yeah.
say before we end.
Yeah.
And we haven't said it in a single video yet, and I believe it's going to become important for us to say, and that is, please, if you don't mind liking the video, sharing it with friends, that would be awesome. Also, you can comment below. We're 100% going to see it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we'll
We have a huge
probably
subscriber base.
yeah, and we'll probably respond, or we'll add that into one of the next videos. And if you can subscribe, that would be awesome. We would really appreciate it.
Amen.
To say that
I
instead
approve
of smash the like button.
Oh yeah,
It's
yeah.
something
No,
cringy.
no smashing like buttons. Oh, one last thing along that. I have a 5-year-old, and so he doesn't know what the like button is, but he's been watching some YouTube videos where they tell him to give him a thumbs up, and so Max literally goes and thumbs up as if like, I guess they see me, and thumbs up everybody.
That's
It's so adorable
So cute.
and hilarious.
That's amazing.
Yeah.